What up, Internet? You rocking with your host, Deshaun Jones, representing Enveonline.
And his very frustrated Falcon fan partner, Azar Johnson.
Man. All right, we're going to jump straight into it. So for the people who follow us, this podcast is specific to football fans. So if you're a fan of the NFL, we got you with this podcast.
Right.
It's going to be very specific. We're going to do a preview / breakdown in the beginning stages of the AFC East, correct?
Correct.
So if your team is the Patriots, the Buffalo Bills, the Jets, or the Miami Dolphins, stay tuned. So
Yes, sir.
you the star of the show today.
You're a funny guy.
All jokes aside, I'm good in basketball.
Yeah.
Head honcho is very great in football analytics. So I'm
Thanks.
gonna lead off. We're gonna set the table, prepare the table. Then I'm gonna let you do your thing, and I'm gonna interject.
Okay.
So we're breaking down the AFC East, and there's many storylines.
Okay.
Want to start with the Patriots first, or how do you want to do this?
No, we started the Patriots. You definitely started the New England Patriots.
All right, I got a couple questions, but I'm gonna let you do the breakdown first.
Okay. So you want me to start first?
Go
okay.
ahead.
So the Patriots, last year they finished down near the bottom, ahead of the Jets as always, but it still wasn't up to their standards. They finished the season 8-9. I think what was surprising last year, the previous season they went in, it was Mac Jones' real first year. So, he had replaced Cam Newton. They made the playoffs and the Bills stomped them out and then knocked them out the first round. But that was, Mac Jones' first year. So now come back the second year, which was last year, and expectations were to take the next step. But instead, Josh McDaniels leaves. And for some reason, when that happened, Belichick decided, I'm going to bring back Matt Patricia, who got fired from the Lions, and Joe Judge, who got fired for the Giants, and both were overwhelmed and had no clue what they were doing. And I'm going to put them in the offensive coordinator position to help them develop Mac Jones, who both coaches were never calling any offensive plays, period. As you can see, Daniel Jones is a way better quarterback. And as you can see, the Detroit Lions franchise has moved fast forward and been way more competitive ever since Matt Patricia stepped out of that building. But you decided to pick these two guys because you're so confident in your defensive skills and your defensive coaching and all your coaching that you thought you could plug anybody in there for Mac Jones' offense, and that didn't go well. It got so bad that at one point they put Billy, I want to say his name right, Billy Zappi. I don't know if I'm saying his right name, but Billy Zappi.
Yeah. Yep.
They put him in at one point, and I don't know personally. I think that probably kind of they lost Mac Jones at one point. He's having a tantrum on the sideline at one point. It got so bad, the reports that he called Nick Saban to say, "Yo, how do I deal with this dude?" With Coach Belichick, because he wasn't happy.
Hold up. He was snitching to Saban?
Yeah.
Talk about that for a minute.
He was so frustrated about what Belichick was doing that he called Nick Saban and say, "How do I deal with this situation with Coach Belichick?"
From your opinion, being good in football, is that good for a person on a team to be going back to a college coach to talk about NFL business, or is that no?
Well, I think he did it because he know that Saban and Belichick have a long-term relationship. So I think he went to coach thinking like, that's Coach Saban, that's my coach. He'll tell me how to deal with that. Is it a good thing? I don't think it's a good thing at all, but not for what everybody thinks it is.
Okay.
It's not a good thing because the franchise quarterback, let's just be honest, the franchise quarterback is going back to his college coach who used to work with you. He say, look how I deal with this guy. This guy's not listening. This ain't working. And then there was reports that Belichick was frustrated about that, so he was trying to shop Mac Jones around. It's at the end it all came down to fruition. He finished 8-9. Now this is the third year Belichick has been without Brady, or I think fourth. I'm not sure. It's third or fourth. I lost count. Point of the matter is what I'm making is that Brady left and went and got a Super Bowl, and he's been in the playoffs every year since he's left that team. Belichick, ever since him and Brady split, has only made the playoffs one time. And now, first of all, he used Cam Newton as an excuse, and now he done I don't know, probably damaged his future with Mac Jones, his relationship, right? And people say, well, that's the Patriot way. That's Belichick. You do it my way or the highway.
We're going to talk about the Patriot way as we go on.
Right.
Go ahead.
So Belichick did. I think now he's starting to feel the heat. People are saying the New England Patriots, the ownership won't get rid of him because he's trying to break Don Shula's record of the most wins by any NFL coach.
Okay.
So I think if he's on pace, if he wins, I don't have the correct number in my head, but if he wins a certain amount of games, I would say the next 2 seasons, he'll probably be able to break Shula's record if he has some good winning seasons, right? The thing is with Robert Kraft, he don't seem to be too confident about that. He sided with Belichick about letting Brady go out the door 1 year earlier than 1 year late, which he's right because we all saw how Brady played last year. Only thing is he's got a Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. So if you Kraft, you're like, yeah, we got rid of him 1 year earlier than 1 year late, but I don't know. I would have took that L for 1 year late if I got me another Super Bowl. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So now, long story short is Belichick must have smartened up. So he goes and gets Bill O'Brien to come back to help develop Mac Jones. Not only does he help him with that, he also gets some Juju Smith-Schuster as another weapon, and he also got Ezekiel Elliott as another weapon for the running game. So I think the offense is going to change clearly with the new offensive coordinator with Bill O'Brien. And I think with those other 2 weapons, it'll help Mac Jones develop a little bit more, and they might have as much as struggles as they had before last year.
All right. So I got to interject with some questions.
Yep.
This gave a great breakdown of the Patriots, some coordinator issues, some offensive weapons. So studying this conference, would you say, I got a 2-part question. First part. Yeah. Would you say the AFC schedule is one of the tougher schedules in the league? Because my research is saying this is an all-out bloodbath. Yeah. Is the schedule going to be too much for what the Patriots have? Is this going to hinder some of the development points they're hoping to hit this year with the schedule?
It could. You know, what was the stat? Their defense is 8th ranked overall in the whole league. Okay. So last year their defense wasn't a problem. When you're number 8 in the league out of 32 teams, that's a good thing. It's not great. But it's not bad. But it's a good thing. So you're like you're in that top 10, which is all you need. And nowadays with the offensive weapons and rules that give all the offensive advantages, they need to figure out, like, he can't lose his franchise quarterback. I think when you ask me, could this be bad for them next year?
This season, the gauntlet of a schedule with the AFC East.
Yeah, they because they're not. I think what happened is that the Patriots, they kind of knew that they were going to have to go through a rebuild, right? Not really a rebuild, but kind of rebuild back up to get to that top spot. But what happened is that everybody else in their conference got better, and if this offense doesn't click, it's going to be bad. We're not talking about.
Interject with a question when you're done with that statement.
We're not talking about teams that are just getting better all around. Mm-hmm. Miami puts up points. That speed is all over the place. You at least got to put up 20+ points to beat Miami. The Bills, even if they beat you 21-17, they're all around team. But when you look at the Jets, they didn't have a quarterback and they were putting up numbers. So with Aaron Rodgers is going to get worse.
Let's stick with the Cowboys.
So with what you asked me about it, their offense, if they don't do something productive with this offense to complement Belichick's defense, they're going to be in trouble.
So here's my follow-up and some pushback. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing you taught me in a previous podcast was your running game is your friend.
Facts.
It helps keep the offense off and some other things that you were talking on the last podcast. Mm-hmm. So with the addition to their running back depth chart with Ezekiel Elliott, where does this put the Patriots with his running game? Look at the stats that he did. They said he rushed close to 1,000 yards last year. Mm-hmm. The last 300 yards, there were no fumbles on his end, so he's very reliable, not fumbling the ball. Mm-hmm. Does he put them over the top, or is he just a complimentary back to Ramondre Stevenson? If I'm pronouncing his name correctly.
Yeah, he puts him over the top. I think the thing.
And does
Go ahead.
Okay, no. Answer that, and I got a follow-up question.
The thing about Ezekiel Elliott, and I hate when people say his production went down. No, let's call it what it is. The first few years he got in the league before he got the big contract, was, remember, Romo was getting hurt too much. And remember when he finally went down and they put Dak in, they were relying on Ezekiel Elliott for the running game, right? He looked like the guy. Then when Prescott's money came up, when his situation came up, they gave Prescott all this money. So you can't say I'm paying Prescott to stay here and hand the ball off to Ezekiel Elliott. You had an offensive line that could complement him and Pollard, and you didn't want to do it. Ezekiel Elliott is still the same back. Y'all just didn't utilize him right. So I mean, they put everything in Dak's hands, and I don't think that worked out well.
So follow up now. You just gave Ezekiel Elliott his flowers. You said he's going to put them over the top. But here's a more important question. Now I got to put you on the spot. You talked about in the past the great Patriot way is dying down. I got to put him on the spot, yeah. But we also talk about culture with Belichick. Does Ezekiel Elliott fit Bill Belichick culture-wise? And does it help the Patriot way with the way he plays his game?
The way he plays it is the Patriot way. I don't know about the way he moves. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, I don't think you really have a choice because look at it. A lot of troubled players that went to New England. You know, Randy Moss went to New England. He wasn't exactly I don't personally have an issue with how he carried himself, but he's not the exact type role model when you're like the Randy Moss on the Patriots, but it worked out. You know what I'm saying? They didn't get a Super Bowl, but it worked out though. You know, he was doing his thing. So my response to that is, do I think? No, I don't think he's, we're going to come in here. You know how everybody answers, we're just G Scally Wiz, like what Tom Brady used to say. Like, that Ezekiel Elliott's not that type of guy. But at the same time, I don't think he's at the podium every week. You get what I'm saying? It's Mac Jones at the podium. It's veteran players at the podium. Ezekiel Elliott will be okay. They brought Juju Smith-Schuster in there, and look, so he ain't exactly a Patriot player either.
So you just described a decent offense. What you talked about, you said they got to put up points.
Yeah.
I'm a former Steelers fan, so I know when he's not on TikTok how valuable Juju can be.
Yes. Oh, you mean he's focused, yeah.
That's the analogy.
Yeah.
We know how valuable Ezekiel Elliott can be when his running back production is up, which we saw, like I said, almost 1,000 yards. If Ramondre, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, and Ezekiel Elliott can both rush, this is just a guesstimate, for both of them for 1,000 yards, what could that do? Where does that put them as a dual running back scenario?
That would make them one of the illest running back tandem in the league. It would help Mac Jones.
What about the AFC East? Where does that put them in the AFC East for dual running backs for Ramondre? I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name.
It makes them difficult to beat, and it makes the other teams, it takes them out of the rhythm. Like, if you look at, if I'm just, let's just say I'm freestyling off the head. Let's just say I'm not even thinking about it. If you look at Josh Allen and if you look at Miami, you look at New York, they're all doing this to put up points, right? If you're keeping Aaron Rodgers off the field, if you're keeping Tua off the field, if you're keeping Tyreek Hill off the field, it makes them hard to produce. Belichick knows that. I can assure you, him and O'Brien is talking about how to methodically and vertically move down the field and also find ways to stop all these offensive firepower. That's what they're looking at. This is a make or break year for Belichick. I can assure you, if it don't work out right, and he's not even in contention for the playoffs, it's a pretty safe bet he's on his way out the door. They're not keeping him to break Shula's record.
So we got a few more minutes on the Patriots before we go off to the next team. I want you to identify one strength that they have and one weakness that you would like to see them improve or work around.
The strength is their defense. Like I said, it's 8th ranked. And that's just because of Belichick. Belichick is a defensive genius. He's been around for a long time. So there's nothing that Miami, New York, or Buffalo's going to throw his way that he's not going to figure out, right? And shouts out to what's the kid they drafted, the young man. Shouts out to Isaiah Bolden from Jackson State because he drafted him as a corner. Salute to that. Belichick's defense is top notch.
Who's going to be the best pass rusher on the team?
Probably Judon. Judon he had like I think 12 sacks last year. So you got Judon, you got all types of guys on there. I can't name all those guys, but you got Judon, you got Josh Uche, you got Jonathan Jones, you got McCourty. You just have an abundance of new players, and the good thing about Belichick, he knows where to put everybody, and he knows how they fit in his defense. He knows how to put certain players and to make them play to their strengths. That's their strengths. Their weakness is their offense. And people say, well, that's what you just said. No, hear what I'm saying. Let me give you a stat. So Matt Jones, the year before last, right, he had 22 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 51 QBR. They were 6 in point scores, scored, and second in red zone scoring. Now here comes Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, the so-called Patriot way guys. Right? So they get there with him, 14 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, QBR of 36 for the whole year, 17th in point scoring in the league, and 32nd in red zone scoring. 32nd. You went from second in red zone scoring when Daniels was there to 32nd. Do you know what that means? That means you were the last team in the league in red zone scoring over the Patriots. It's no wonder the Giants were horrific. It's no wonder the Lions were horrific. And you put them in there in position to develop this kid? And I don't mean kid in a bad way, but this young man, this was his second year. What was you thinking? So their weakness is offense. Belichick has patched it, hopefully, because if he doesn't, I mean, you know, Belichick, he'll get another job regardless. But if this don't look like it's going the right way, I bet you money he's out. Kraft will cut ties because he's already made it clear. He said in a statement, he said, yeah, we experimented on some things last season and it didn't work. Yeah, we know. Trust me. Because even though Brady was on his way out the door, even though it wasn't working because maybe just because of age and guys had Super Bowl hangover from the previous Super Bowl, they still made the playoffs. They still won their division. You weren't even sniffing the division. You weren't even sniffing the division. So, I mean, it's just what it's going to be. Let's just call it what it is. They say Belichick's not on a hot seat, but he is on a hot seat. Because it's but so long you can keep selling that. Trust me, I know. I mean, and people say, yo, he has 6 Super Bowl rings. How could you make that assumption? Trust me. After a while, it's about the Patriots are used to being in the playoffs every season or competing for getting a Super Bowl. They're 3 years, or if going on, because what Cam Newton's won, Mac Jones said, they're 3 years away removed from the 2 years, they're a year removed from the playoffs. But 2 out of 3 years, they've been removed from the playoffs, right? They haven't even made it. So now you're looking at this 4th year. Let's just say they don't make it. What are you going to go upstairs and say?
One last question. What's your overall prediction of how the Patriots finish this season?
Let me put it to you this way. I think that they have the ability to be, it's going to sound crazy, I want to say 2nd or 3rd place.
Okay.
It depends on that offense. If that offense looks right, if it looks okay, if it looks decent, if it doesn't look crazy, and I mean, you got Juju Smith-Schuster, Ezekiel Elliott, and who else am I missing here? Ezekiel Elliott and Devontae Parker. So you have weapons. And that's not including Stevenson, you know what I mean, and Harrison. You have, and Hunter Henry, I'm sorry, abundance of weapons. We could be here all day naming them. Point I'm making is if it gels and it works out, they'll be the surprise team. I truly think they'll be 2nd or 3rd. They have the ability to do that. Now, will that happen? We'll see.
Well, let's go off to the next big hype team. Well, no, not big hype team because that would be the Jets. But let's go to Buffalo if you don't mind.
No,
you have
I
a
don't
preference?
No, okay.
All right.
Okay.
Let's start off with the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
You go ahead.
So the Buffalo Bills last year, let me go over to that. They finished 13-3. And of course last year, you know, the big story coming out of last year was DeMar Hamlin. That was definitely the big thing. I think that with the Bills, they have the potential, the Buffalo Bills, they can be first, but I don't think they're expected to go first this year. I think with everything that Miami – see, the thing is that every year going in the past 2 or 3 years, everybody believed the Buffalo Bills were the team to beat. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Yes.
They're the team to beat. We're watching other than –
And then what happened in the playoffs?
When Cincinnati smacked them. But when when Patrick Mahomes, when we all knew that Mahomes was the man and Kansas City looked unbeatable, everybody said the Bills are the only team that can beat them. Everybody said that, right?
Sure enough, did.
That's what we all thought. And then I don't know what happened. Two things I think will happen. One is Brian Dable left. They also lost the other guy that went to the Giants, the general manager. I forgot his name also right now. It's slipping my head. But he left. You saw Josh Allen's production go down. It just something switched up. Not to mention Allen tries to be Superman and does it himself. Go ahead.
So I got a question because you're actually leading into my first question. Mm-hmm. You're talking about the inefficiencies that hurt them last year, basically when they got to the playoffs and this got smacked. Mm-hmm. Well, what you're naming, what do you think they need to correct going into this season? As we talked about, the AFC has a gauntlet of a schedule. What do they need to correct so that this doesn't happen again?
They're going to have to rely on their running game more. Because I think when last year they were pretty productive, them and Stephon Diggs. I mean, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. We all know that's – even though Allen likes throwing to the tight end, we all know it's because tight end gets open because everybody knows he's going to go to Stephon Diggs. And then when they start seeing Josh Allen take off or when he's throwing to, other guys, to get it. But the main objective is to get to Stephon Diggs. I think that ship is sailing to a point where people are kind of looking like, there's so many chances you're going to take going to him.
What about him coming off? Did he have an ACL injury last year or no? Diggs?
No, Diggs didn't.
Okay.
No.
My bad. Wrong person.
Diggs, yeah. Diggs is doing just fine.
Okay.
But they need somebody else to step up. They tried that last year and that didn't work out well. To give you an example, Stephon Diggs led the team with 108 receptions. The next guy that had the most receptions, he had 48 receptions.
On the season?
Gonna say that again. Stephon Diggs had 108 receptions last year.
Okay.
The next receiver that had the highest most receptions only had 48.
So let me push back.
That's 60 plus different.
Let me give you some minor pushback. Mm-hmm. So you said they have to rely on a running game. Is that because you don't think they have the offensive reception weapons?
Because it's so long you can keep going to that well.
Okay.
So how long are we gonna? Okay, so let me make this point. I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm working me here. How long are you going to keep doing the 13-3, 12-4, 11-5, 15-1? You look unbeatable with Stephon Diggs. Then you get in the playoffs, and you know what? Stephon Diggs ain't really that relevant. Or he might be relevant, but then there's guys on the other end. You see what Cincinnati has? They got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon. And I'm missing one other guy. There's somebody else I'm missing, one name, another receiver. So you can have Stephon Diggs all day. I got 4 weapons, Burrow says, to your 1. And that's including you when you take off and run. So how long are you going to keep doing that? I'm going to keep saying this, and I know I'm sounding like an old school head, like a Jurassic Park guy, but I'm telling you the running game is your friend. They all know the Bills are going to throw. We all know that if Stephon Diggs is guarded, Josh Allen's going to take off. That's the whole offense. It's a whole offense. Throw to Stephon Diggs, and if they start going over there, then I'm going to start taking off and running. Which, good luck, because, I think Bradley Chubb is in your division. Matthew and Judon is in your division, and what's his name? Quentin Williams from the Jets, and those Jets defensive linemen hit hard. You're not going to make a career living, keep running and taking off against those guys. That's just not going to work for you. So, to give you a point, the Bills are going to have to do something. They're going to have to switch up. They're going to have to make it versatile. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you cool. So what you're describing to me as they have to change their course of attack, which is the running game.
Yeah, they have to. Yeah.
But doing my research, just my minor research, one of their, I don't want to say weaknesses, you may agree, you may disagree, you could tell me, might be the roster construction around the offensive line. So research, they have Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins on the offensive line. But some people are saying their depth chart isn't too strong on the line. Is that going to hurt their chance to go to the running game? Or
it might,
barring injury,
because their line, that might be for passing.
Okay.
I think Josh Allen takes off. He takes off a lot, man. Because guys may not be getting over and Stephon Diggs is double team. But let me make it clear. Last year they were ranked second in offense.
Okay.
So, I mean, like I said, that's all great till you get to the playoffs. And then what happens when you get to the playoffs? You lose. You can't produce. So you have number one, they got a 6 overall ranked defense, right? So if you have a 6 ranked overall defense,
kind of good.
Right, you should. If I always believe, if you got a top 10 defense, the running game is the answer for everything. If you got a high-powered offense or you can't stop people, you got a running game, it'll help you get stops. Let me give you a good example, and I'm going to say this, and I'm not sidetracking. Kyle Shanahan, right, when he's with the Falcons, when we had a 28-3 lead on the Patriots, we decided to keep throwing the football, right? Because that was the smartest thing to do in the second half with a 25-point lead on Tom Brady. If you had just ran the ball and methodically moved down the field,
slow the clock,
you would have made them. You would have put pressure on them to keep coming, and you could have probably played a different defense, and it would have gave your defense a rest. Instead, you didn't do that. So, mind you, when he goes to San Fran, he plays Kansas City. He's going against Patrick Mahomes. They had the game. All they had to do was run the ball and keep the clock down. Instead, they tried to go deep to Emmanuel Sanders, and Garoppolo overthrew him. But it ain't the point. The point is you try to go for the juggler. You put your defense back on the field. You got Richard Sherman and them huffing and puffing to try to go chase Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and I forgot the other guy that was there at the time. I mean, their receivers were illmatic. So fast forward to this, with Buffalo, that's another thing. Buffalo is the everybody's going for Buffalo's head, right? New England's looking at that.
Miami is.
Miami's looking at that.
Everybody's saying they're going to dethrone Buffalo.
And you know the Jets are looking at that. So my whole point is, use the running game. Sauce Gardner's looking to take Stephon Diggs out. Miami, who when they lost Brian Flores, they switched their whole defense around. Jalen Ramsey's in that conference now. You think Jalen Ramsey you think Stephon Diggs is going to sit there and catch like 10 receptions, 120 yards against Jalen Ramsey? How you think that's going to work with Sauce Gardner? Mm-hmm. How you think that's going to work with Belichick's defense? At some point, that's going to catch up. I can tell you Belichick is tired. Knowing Belichick, he's not trying to hear that. So, no, and I should have pulled up the stats on that. Belichick's not trying to hear that on his defense. Vic Fangio, who is a great defensive coordinator and now has Jalen Ramsey, he ain't trying to hear that Stephon Diggs thing. And I know Sauce Gardner and Robert Saleh definitely ain't trying to hear it. So, I mean, what are you going to do here? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, they need to look to James Cook, who I think is going to be the primary back, if I'm not mistaken. They need to look at Cook. They need to, Dalvin's brother. Yes, Dalvin Cook's brother. They need to look at Dalvin Cook's brother. Correct.
So you talked about how effective their offense can be. Mm-hmm. Talked about their high power ranked defense. Mm-hmm. I want to ask a question. Let me know if it makes sense.
Yeah.
What franchise records can the Buffalo Bills exceed at this season, if that makes sense?
What do you mean? Like what?
Just overall in general, because people are looking at them like they're the team to beat in the division. So they're gunning for a lot of stuff.
They're gunning it. I think they gotta get a Super Bowl, man. Because I think the clock is ticking.
All right, so
the clock is ticking.
So where's because last year people were saying they had a window. Where is the Buffalo Bills window overall, in your opinion? Is it this season and that's it, or do they have like a 2 or 3 year window?
I don't think they got a 2 or 3 year window no more. Did you see what you see? Okay, so to kind of give you an idea, if you just leave the AFC East, I'll come back to that fast in a minute. If you look at the AFC East, leave the AFC East. You got Trevor Lawrence coming out of Jacksonville. He's not going anywhere.
Sure.
So he's made it clear. Justin Herbert just signed that big deal with the Chargers, and you see what he did with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. He's not going anywhere. Patrick Mahomes is not going anywhere. Joe Burrow is not going anywhere. Lamar Jackson is not going anywhere. And I forgot, by the way, Deshaun Watson is in Cleveland, and clearly he's not going anywhere.
Not at
least
for
6 guys. Years, yeah. Oh, there's a guy in Pittsburgh by the name of Kenny Pickett that's coming out.
Still a nation, stand up.
So he's on the verge of stepping up. And hell, he did that. I mean, just what they did with what they had, I don't know how he did it. But he's just now getting started. they're. I just named about seven guys, right?
That are coming.
About four of them, I think about 4 of them are hitting their prime. 4 of them are hitting their prime, and 3 are coming.
Yeah, not even in their prime.
Right? Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're in their. They're not even in their prime. I don't know what you're gonna do, but I would probably say this is their best chance. I don't know. And let me also make this clear what people ain't looking at. So we saw what happened with Dable. He kind of took a little step. I mean, their offense still did what they did. They still went 13-3. They still got into the playoffs. But when they played Cincinnati, they couldn't do nothing, right? Let me make this clear. Leslie Frazier took a hiatus. And I think Sean McDermott, who's the head coach, who used to be a defense coordinator, he's going to get a little bit more aggressive. Now, that defense is good. That defense is real good. Buffalo's defense is Super Bowl caliber type defense. I just don't know at what point how many L's you can keep taking when people are picking at your franchise and you're going to keep maintaining that.
One last question before we go to the next segment.
Yeah.
Unless you have more to add on to this, but overall, we all know everybody's gunning for Buffalo. You just gave me the breakdown of they have a short window. Where does Buffalo finish with the AFC East, with the tough schedule overall?
I seen them in second. It's either Miami or the Jets. I see it in second.
Okay, we getting down to the bottom.
I see them in second. I see like Buffalo's just gonna always be there. They're gonna always be in the playoffs. They're gonna it's what are they gonna do?
So you had Patriots at third and you have Buffalo at second.
Yeah.
See, I'm breaking this down.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
And Patriots, I said either. Wait, I said the Patriots have the potential. Time out. So anybody seeing this
AFC,
when you play in the podcast,
AFC East, all the fans.
If the
said the Patriots are third and the Buffalo Bills are second.
I said the Patriots had the potential to be second or third.
All right.
But I also said that the Patriots, long story short, they could end up. I highly doubt they end up in last place, but they have the potential to be in second place, but they'll probably end up in third. So it's gonna be one that somebody everybody can't be at the top spot. There's 4 teams.
Mm-hmm. The third team I'm going to, I have a wild hunch you're gonna say is gunning for number 1.
Yeah,
and you know where I'm going.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So we're gonna get on the third team for the AFC East. The New Jersey. I'm sorry. The Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Break it down.
Okay, first I want to start by saying the New York Jets media personnel has a lot of issues. Maybe the Fitzpatrick Alliance and NAACP should look into that. Okay, so now the Jets. Let's talk about the team.
Yeah, I ain't catch that.
Yeah, I'm going to say that one more time for media. As far as the Jets media relations, they have a lot of issues, and maybe Fitzpatrick Alliance and maybe the NAACP should look into that. That's all I'm going to say.
Hold that.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So now back to the New York Jets. So the New York Jets last year, storyline was they was coming in rebuild mode. It was Robert Saleh's second year. I don't know if I'm saying. I still to this day can't say this guy's name right. I promise you, I'm gonna figure that out. They were supposed to start the era with Zach Wilson. It was not going well. It got so bad with Zach Wilson at one point. And let me look at this because I think I remember. It got so bad with him. I forgot what game it is. I just want to see something. It had got so bad with Zach Wilson that in a press conference, and I forgot what game it was, but they asked him, did he let the team down today, or did he take any responsibility for the team's loss? He said, no, I absolutely didn't do anything wrong. That was the last game he played for the season. Yeah. He clearly, because when he made that comment, he lost the locker room. So long story short is, then Mike White comes in, and to kind of give you a hint, of what was going on, Mike White, maybe he wasn't the answer, but he gave the team a spark. And what he also did is make the Jets realize they had a team that was ready to win now, as opposed to a team that was ready to win later. Does that make sense? So you might have a team, and you might see like Trevor Lawrence and them. Jacksonville got better. They were ready. They're ready to win later. They wasn't ready to win now. I mean, you knew last year going into it, Jacksonville was not going to go to the Super Bowl. And that's not a shot at them. It just, they had to learn, right? The Jets were ready to win now. Their defense is 4th ranked in the league. they're in the top. They have a top 5 defense. Is what you expected from the coach anyway, coming up. Right? So they had top 5 defense, a 25 ranked offense. But I think that was because of partially of Zach Wilson, right, and his behavior and him not being ready to play. And another thing was Mike White. He got injured. He did get injured. Now, to give you an idea, the Jets were 7-4, and he lost the last 6 games.
I remember.
Let's say that again. That's how bad it was. So to kind of give you an idea of how good Mike White was and how good some of the receivers are, let me tell you what was going on. Mike White. So if anybody knows this in fantasy, I do fantasy, right? It'll tell you if certain players are starting to be consistent in scoring points. It'll tell you like, yo, look, you need to bring this guy in on your team. You know what I'm saying? He's going to help you win games. So I kind of wasn't doing too good in fantasy, right? And I needed guys that was going to give me points. And I remember I kept seeing, this is when Mike White came onto the Jets. And I kept seeing, and I knew how Garrett Wilson was because I saw him play Ohio State. So I knew he was going to be a productive receiver that's going to put up a little bit of points. He wasn't doing anything. Then Mike White came, and oh my God, I was starting to win games because of the points he was putting up. So just to kind of give you an idea on such a small level, this guy was putting up so many points because of the production he was getting from White. And you could just see the way the team played. They played different because they knew they had a guy back there that was going to gunsling. And even though he may not be perfect and do everything, this guy was going to keep you competitive in games. And you had to roll with him. So the Jets realized they have a team that's ready to win now. And they're young and they're not strapped under the cap. So what do? They said, we're going all in. We're not going to waste any time. We're gonna go and get Aaron bleeping Rodgers.
First question. So yes, you just talked about how ilmatic their defense is.
Yes.
Can we do a little history?
Yeah.
When Aaron Rodgers won that Super Bowl with Green Bay, were they the 8th ranked defense in the league?
Something like that, yeah.
So you're now giving Aaron Rodgers, despite his age, 39, 40 or whatever, you're giving him the 4th best ranked defense on the league. According to history, it says he's wins.
Yeah.
It's a Super Bowl or bust with Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Right out the game.
Yes. This year, first of all, they didn't make the playoffs. They have to at least, let me say this, especially being in the different conference he's in. He has to at least be they have to make the playoffs. That's what they at least have to do. And on a high note, they either got to make it to the AFC Championship game or they got to make it to the divisional round, the second round. But if they do, they can't lose to somebody like the Chargers or Jacksonville. They got to be losing to like the Chiefs or Lamar Jackson. Like you got to lose to somebody like a top
Lamar
dog.
Jackson, you mean the Steelers?
Yeah. You got to lose. You got to lose like a top. Not the Steelers, man. You're a funny dude. I said the Ravens.
You see how I slipped that in real quick. Talking about Lamar Jackson.
You're a funny dude.
And the AFC North, where you got Kenny Pickett's.
Right.
Let's go.
Here you go, man. We'll
stick with the AFC East, but you see where the Steelers is at, baby.
Oh my God. So what the point I'm making is that, like a Joe Burrow. You could they make the divisional playoffs and they lose to like a Joe Burrow or a Patrick Mahomes or what did I say? Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. Who else am I missing? Oh, Lamar Jackson. Like you lose to a caliber team like that in the first year because you're trying to get everybody together. I get it, but it's got to be like that type of that level. You cannot. You are here to win a Super Bowl. The Jets gave up. They didn't give up a lot, but they gave up enough. You get what I'm saying? So we brought you in here. They gave him everything he wanted. They just signed Dalvin Cook. They signed Dalvin Cook.
That came out of nowhere,
right? They got a top 4 ranked defense, and these guys are all young, so they're not strapped cash. So you got them all in their prime playing, right? Top 4 ranked defense. Sauce Gardner, all of them, they're all in for a big payday come one day. So you got to win now. I think that's what made them push to go in on now. Because you got these guys on now. Come, 2-3 years down the line, you can't keep these guys.
Nope.
You can't keep them. There's no way you're going to keep this team together. So you might as well just take advantage of it now. And that's what the Jets are doing. They are all in. So they done went and got out Alan Lazard, Nicole Hardman, Randall Cobb. They done everything for Aaron Rodgers. Now the only concern is that he's got this offensive line. I keep hearing things about that. Yeah.
So that was my question. Literally. How much is his success depending on this offensive line?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say a 6, 7. Meaning, like, it's not Aaron Rodgers is a mobile quarterback. It's not like, no disrespect. Remember how Carson Wentz was having problems because he's not that type of quarterback? And Matt Ryan at the end of his career, he was having problems. It's not. He doesn't need that type of line. He just needs he can move. He's mobile. So with Aaron Rodgers, no matter how bad the line is, he can kind of buy time and make it better than what it is. So if the offensive line, let's just say the Jets' offensive line is like a 3, Aaron Rodgers can make it a 6. Doesn't sound great, but, you know, it's different than when Zach Wilson's back there. He needs time like that. He needs a line like that. Aaron Rodgers doesn't. And they gave him Nathaniel Hackett. They brought Nathaniel Hackett in to be the offensive coordinator. I mean, they done gave him everything. They went all in. They should be at the top of the division.
So you just named a lot of key pieces for the Jets' success. They got a lot of weapons. What player has a breakout season on that team? Who are you expecting to show up and show out for the Jets and be the reason for their success?
Other than Garrett Wilson, Dalvin Cook. I want to say Garrett Wilson and Dalvin Cook.
Where does Dalvin Cook finish as running backs in the AFC East?
I want to say second, because whoever Miami has back there running, they're gonna do their thing. Like that offense, the Dolphins' offense is made to build around the running backs being mobile and getting out of the backfield and producing. So I think Dalvin Cook will be back there. I think you got to remember Robert Saleh. Even though he's a defensive minded guy and they got all these offensive weapons, you got to remember too he's a very run the ball, hard nosed type of offense. So even though I think Hackett's there and he's gonna let Hackett run the way he wants to run it, he's gonna request. They didn't bring Dalvin Cook in there to just look cute. Dalvin Cook is there to do something. So I think this is an all-around team, and I think the Jets, do I want to say they're going to win the division?
Well, you just gave me the Patriots at possible 3. You gave me the Buffalo Bills at number 2. So you got to put it on the line now because there's only one other team left.
I'm trying to think when Josh
Who takes that number 1 spot?
I'm trying to think when Josh Allen plays. I'm going to put them up there. I'm going to say they're going to win the division. I think they're going to win it. I think the Jets are going to win the division. So the
Jets is at the number 1 spot in the AFC East.
I think they got no choice, dog. They have to.
Yeah, I hear that now. The Jets is the number 1 spot.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. To the Bills, show me. I need to see the Jets play the Bills. That's what I need to see.
Is that week 1 or no?
Let me see the schedule. Yes, first game for September 11th. I think it's a Sunday night or Monday night. So I need to see the Jets play the Bills. And I need to see what happens.
Yeah, there's games like that in the NBA.
If I had to roll the dice right now, I say the Jets are the top team. But how they play the Bills will show me what I'm seeing. You know what I'm saying? Like what I'm seeing. Because if McDermott, the one thing about McDermott, a lot of people, if they're familiar with Sean McDermott and the Bills defense, and I'm not sidetracking, give me a second here.
Go ahead.
McDermott, he's a blitz guy. He comes after you all day. When he's running the defense, he is going to come after you all day. He's not even going to hide it. You're going to see the blitz. Like Aaron Rodgers is going to come to the line, and he's going to see 6 guys looking at him. Like, we're going to hit you. You think you're going to scramble out of here. We're going to knock your ass in the next week. Like, it is what it is. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, mind you got Sauce Gardner, and you got those boys back there. You got Quentin Williams. Oh, who's the linebacker? C.J. Mosley. You got all those. There's a few more other guys. I can't name them right now. But you got all those guys back there. We're going to see. If the Jets perform well in that game, then, yeah, I think they're that's it. That's what they need. That they got it. You're going to be shocked about my next answer, though.
So are we going to the last team?
Yep. You know it.
All right. So the last team in the AFC East that we're going to talk about is the Miami Dolphins. Mm-hmm. Take it away.
So the Miami Dolphins last year, as if it couldn't get any worse, with all the horrible news and horrific things we heard about that.
Give them a snippet, a breakdown.
So clearly Brian Flores, who was the previous coach the year before, who did wonders with the team of what he had to work with, had, talked about, went on a media tour about the accusations about how the owner was sabotaging the team and he wanted him to deliberately lose games so he could
get a high draft pick.
Yeah, get a high draft pick. I mean, if you go back and look into the reports, it's very disturbing, some of the stuff I saw. Racial discrimination, it's just a mess. So then they as they're trying to move forward from that, they go and hire this guy, the coach. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting this guy's name. Maybe I want to forget his name though. Let me be honest about that. So, Mike McDaniel.
Okay.
They hired this coach Mike McDaniel, right? So long story short, who is considered half black or whatever, but I don't see it. Whatever, man. I got to see his parents. I don't know what that's about, but we gonna leave that alone. Like he's like, yeah, he's half African man. I'm like, oh yeah, you sure? Was he adopted? Because I'm not seeing it. So anyway,
they gonna get us for that one, eh?
Yeah, well, whatever. Whatever. Eh? They need it. Then the NFL. I really don't think they want to come poking over here because I think I want to just take a mirror and say, let's go look at your media teams. But anyway, let's go back. So, mine past that. Then here comes Mike McDaniels. Does a wonderful job offensively. Things is ringing. They're getting a 3-0. Get off to a great start. Then what happens is Tua gets hit. Third game instead of Buffalo. It's in Miami, but I think it's against Buffalo. If I'm not mistaken, it was against Buffalo, right? I got notes and everything. Yeah, it's crazy. So, yeah, it was against Buffalo, which the game they won. It was 3-0. We all saw the hit where Tua got hit. He got up and stumbled, and his offensive lineman grabbed him. And I think he went back into the game and played. Or either he came out. Somehow, 9 times out of 10, a child could tell you, when you get hit like that, you got to come out, at least for a week. You can't play the next game next week.
That man was concussed.
There was clearly an issue. Somehow the doctor overlooked it. And mind you, even if you can come back the next week, it's because you done had a whole week to try to rebound. They had a game Thursday night against Cincinnati. A player takes him. I forgot who the defensive player was. They caught him, spun him around, and slammed him right on his head. And he's sitting up there cringe with his hands cringe. It was a scary thought. It was. I don't want to compare and contrast because with Hamlin that was even scarier, but it was scary to see him cringing like that. So that was clearly he wasn't okay, and there was reports saying that they put him out there because the at the time it was on the line, the conference and their team, and it was a Thursday night game.
So you jeopardized that young man's life
for a game? Really? As if you already ain't got enough drama going on in the back part of your team with what the accusations of what the owner tried to pull. So, and then McDaniel gets up on the podium. I'm going to give a shorter version because, we time limited. McDaniel gets on the podium, starts crying, saying, I don't know how anybody thinks I would jeopardize a player's life. Yeah, okay.
Everybody saw that.
Everybody was looking at you like, come on, man, you lying. So then, rightfully great, they caught their karma. They went 3-3. I think they won the last 1, 2, 3, 4. They won the next 4 games after that. And then they lost the next 5 games after that. So then they end up winning the last game against the Jets. Go figure. They won the last game against the Jets, and then they played the Bills, which the Bills did beat them, but it was a fight. So, I mean, everybody saw what was going on. Tua is the man. Tua, up to even with his issues, he still did his thing. He had 25 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, and he threw for 3,548 yards. That's amazing, even with all the injuries. The thing is Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and he has the weapons. But I think with the whole thing with Tua is, can he stay healthy? The thing is with the Dolphins, and they seem to be getting, and let me tell you the jewel here, what everybody's missing. So this season, off season, they went and got Mike White from the Jets. Because I think because Mike White, you could see when he's healthy, he can play lights out. I don't think he. If Aaron Rodgers wasn't on the market, I think they would have stuck with Mike White and said, "Look, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna get a veteran to back you up. We're gonna develop Zach Wilson, and we're gonna figure this out." But because I think Aaron Rodgers is on the verge and their team's ready to win now, they was able to let Mike White go. But Mike White is the backup, so just in case Tua gets hurt. With all that being said, I don't know if that's the answer. And you're gonna be surprised my answer. I see them fighting to get to stay out of the bottom.
Okay.
That's saying a lot, right? I know it.
Sure enough is.
Right.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
So they just released some news yesterday on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Their offensive tackle, Terran Armstead, was carted off.
Right.
With trying to protect Tua and keep him healthy because of what happened last year, how strong is Miami's offensive line? And does this new injury, hurt them?
Their offensive line is good. With the way their offense is predicated, it's quick release, short passes. Even though they go deep to Tyreek Hill, but you got Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle. They also got Bobby Anderson from the Arizona Cardinals. So they have improved, and then they went and got. I'm sorry, what was it here? They also went and got they got Bobby Anderson. And they got Mike White, and they also got who did I say? Jalen Ramsey. And even though Jalen Ramsey's a little hobbled right now, he'll be ready for the beginning of the year. They have a defense where they got Bradley Chubb, and they have Jalen Ramsey, and they have who's the other corner? There's another corner that I'm not thinking about. Oh, they have Xavier Howard. When Brian Flores was there, he had two corners that could play man to man. And for whatever reason, when Mike McDaniels got there, the defense didn't look right no more. It's an 18th ranked defense. So you see where I'm going with this?
Yep.
So even though you were winning games, you were losing games too. And because you couldn't stop people. You lost to the Houston Texans. Let me say that again. You lost to the Houston Texans. I know you won. I'm sorry, you won the Houston Texans, but it's the way you had to win that game. But to games, look at games. Listen to how they lost. They lost to the Bills in the playoffs, 34-31. They lost to Green Bay, 26-20. They lost to Buffalo, 32-29. They lost to the Chargers, 23-17. They lost to the 49ers, 33-17. They lost to the Jets, 40-17. You see how teams are Detroit, Minnesota, they're putting up points. You get what I'm saying? The teams are putting up points. Even the games they're winning, 42-38, 31-27. The Chicago Bears, who had no line, they beat them 35-32. You see where I'm going with this? Even though they're scoring a lot of points and their offensive explosion, and Tua is the man, your defense was the problem, and it was 18th ranked. So now, and you had good corners, but you know what happened though? They must have smartened up because they got Vic Fangio, who's a very great defensive coordinator. And they went out and got Jalen Ramsey. So I think they're now not going to run a same defense. They're going to play more zone. Can they win a division? They have the potential of winning a division.
So that was going to kind of be my question for them. What's their ceiling? Because I saw a podcast where a Dolphins fan said they're going to pretty much take the crown from Buffalo. Is that their ceiling?
If they win the East, they ain't good because they took the crown from Buffalo. And Buffalo already took the crown for themselves because I honestly think, I'm telling you, the window's shut. Okay. I think last year was their chance and their shot. And when I saw what I saw, and clearly because of the Hamlin thing, that kind of did some damage. I don't care what they say, man. You see one of your players going down, your man's going down like that kind of affects you mentally. The Dolphins' ceiling, let me put it to you this way. Let me give you a better, because I know how you asked me where they're going to be at. I think the Dolphins are going to be third and fourth place. I honestly think so. But the other question, maybe the better way of what I'm trying to say is, all four teams have a potential of winning the conference, right? The division. For the Dolphins to win the division, defense has to get better. And you better hope Tua don't go down, because you are in trouble. We all saw what happened when Tua went down. Bridgewater's not there no more to save that. So what I'm saying is that they had the potential. They picked up Ramsey. They picked up defensive coordinator. They're going to switch their defense. Let's see how this works. It's too many ifs with them. You know,
that's never good.
With Buffalo, it's not if they're going to make the playoffs. It's if they're when they're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's not if they're going to make it. We know they're going to make the playoffs. Are they going to make it past? When they run into Cincinnati, what's going to happen? When they run into to Kansas City, what's going to happen? See, that's why I think the window's closed. Don't matter whether they win the division or not. What you going to do when you get in there? You're going to do the same thing you've been doing? No disrespect. You're going to be losing.
Yo, Griselda, please show up to a Buffalo Bill game and hype them up, man.
Yeah.
Benny the Butcher. Buffalo needs you this season.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I got some general questions.
Okay. Talk to me.
For the AFC East,
Yes.
You just broke down eloquently the 4 teams.
Yeah.
Who are the superstars in that conference? If you can name, and it doesn't have to be from the same team, I'm just giving you generalization. If you can name 3 top All-Stars or however you want to place it out of that conference, who are they and why?
Tyreek Hill, because he's just a cheater. There's nothing you can do. You just pray to God like he only gets 1 touchdown. That's all you can do. I just hope you get 1 touchdown. That's all, because I know you'll light us up. Off the top of my head, this is Buffalo, the Jets. You said superstar.
All-star caliber players. If you got 3 or 4, if you can do 3 or 4, so
okay,
you got Tyreek
Hill, Josh Allen. He's a beast. He's just hard to stop, whether he's throwing the ball or running at you. You're gonna laugh about this. I want to say Sauce. Is it Sauce Gardner's a corner? No. Garrett Wilson. I'm sorry, Garrett Wilson.
Okay.
Garrett Wilson. He's a beast. I think people don't realize how much of a beast he is because he played for the Jets and he getting a lot of airtime.
Okay.
Even though I know Aaron Rodgers is the bad man. You said 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hate to do this, man. I'm gonna go with Aaron Rodgers though.
So we got Tyreek Hill, Josh Allen, Garrett Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers as your 4 All-Stars of the AFC East.
Yes.
That's dope.
Yep. I'm sorry, New England Patriots. No, you do not have no All-Star because it's the Patriot way. And clearly that's been working for you for the past 3 years. You know what that is really called? It's called the Tom Brady way. That's what that should be called. Yeah.
Either that stuff that make your soul burn slow.
Yep.
Who has the best offensive line in the American? I'm sorry. Let me say that again. Who has the best offensive line in the AFC East?
Oh, New England. New England's got the best offensive line. They just have a horrible offensive coordinator. Well, they did. Why does he still have a job, man? These guys are, oh my God. Don't get me started.
And last question for me, then I'll let you take it away.
Mm-hmm.
So you gave me your game that you wanted to watch, which was the Jets versus the Buffalo Bills. Outside of that game, what do you think is the game that people need to be paying attention to? Maybe it's an underrated game.
What, in the conference?
In the conference. I'm sorry, yeah. In
Like,
the AFC East, what's the game to watch?
other than the Jets and the Bills. I mean, not the Jets and the Jets and the Bills that night. To be the sleeper, I would say the Jets in Miami. I think games like the Jets in Miami. I think games like New England and Miami. If Belichick can stop Miami, if he can keep them down, if he can stop them, he can stop anybody. If I see Belichick do what I know he can do, because you got to remember Belichick is good enough, and I don't want to hear about the whole whatever that bounty gate. I wish my man Shane was here. The whole bounty gate thing, whatever it was called, I forgot. It's not bounty gate. I forgot what it's called. That was New Orleans. Belichick has stopped high power. He's had a history I'm going to say that again. He's had a history of stopping high-powered offenses. The Bills were high-powered. Now, I'm giving away my age here. When they went to the Super Bowl, nobody could stop them. They stopped them. They stopped them. They made them look normal. The Rams were unstoppable, and they made them look normal. I forgot who else he played to. He's played a lot of offenses that are high-powered. He just made them look normal. He's made them look like, yo, you can play with him. So if I see him play to Miami the way I know he can play him, matter of fact, probably my man Shane, he's probably watching this podcast. I got to get over there, man. I've been telling him I'm gonna go see a Patriots game with him. Watch a Patriots game with him. If I see him stop Miami, that offensive explosion, then New England's gonna be a problem. If I see him stop Miami, and I see him, and he's also, by the way, as a side note, they've beaten the Jets 14 times. 14 consecutive times. So now they got Aaron Rodgers. Those are the two games I want to see Belichick and see how that works out.
How you calling it to end the podcast?
What?
How you calling that game?
For which one? New England and the Jets?
Yeah.
I see the Jets
Let's
pulling
put it on the line right now.
I see the Jets pulling that out then. I don't think it's going to be a 32-24 game. I think it's going to be a 17-14 game. And I think the Jets going to have to figure to pull out. But see, the difference is with say Belichick goes against Mike McDaniels, right? McDaniels is offensive minded, so he likes to try to attack you and get out of there. Where Robert Saleh, he's a defensive guy. He want to fight with you all day, and I'm pretty sure that offense, as much as Aaron Rodgers has the weapons, he wants that smoke. So that's going to be a thug fight. That's going to be a back alley fight. So, yeah, I see the Jets pulling that out there.
All right, man. That wraps up our podcast on the AFC East. Do you got anything more you want to add to that?
I think that'll be one of the – everybody says the AFC North's going to be tough. I think the AFC East is going to also have a slugfest fight. If you're a fan of football, like I am, even though I have a favorite team, that conference, that division, the AFC East – next to AFC North is going to be a conference games that you need to watch their games. If they're playing each other, you need to watch their games. That's the best compliment I can give them.
So basically, when the Steelers play,
here you go, man. Look at nobody's talking about the Steelers right now.
An AFC East team, that's going to be the game to watch.
Yeah, okay.
Steelers.
Yes, man. Yes.
We'll get to the AFC North.
We'll get over there, man.
This is about the East.
Man. Oh my God. But oh Lord.
Shout out to all the football fans out there. Shout out to if you're a fan of the AFC East, whether you're a fan of the Bills, the Patriots, the Jets, or the Dolphins. If y'all get in the comments, y'all let me know who's winning the AFC East.
Facts.
Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure y'all like, follow, subscribe, share, whatever y'all do on any social media.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button.
We appreciate the support.
Facts.
Tuning out.
Yes, sir. One.